Oof. Well, here we go into the court case. Or the court session. The Old Bailey. This place always makes me feel strange. I seem to get chills down my spine and break out in a nervous sweat all at the same time. Well, I didn't think I'd be back here so soon. That's my line. Good morning! Good morning, Mr. Natsume. It was only 2 days ago that I was declared not guilty here. Yes, we somehow managed to prove he didn't stab Miss Green in the back. But now this! Another morning, another murder! And here I am again in this hellhole! Can't keep coming to court! I'm beginning to think he's right. Really does seem as though he's cursed.
Mr. Naruto, I'm afraid I have bad news. Oh.
Oh, you're messing with Hero Forge, Shady? Oh, for D&D. Okay. Sounds interesting.
Mr. Natsume, good morning.
Yes, morning.
So, here we are again.
Yes, again. Judicial Assistant Miss Mikotoba, Esquiress. What's the bad news? Is Esquiress even a word?
I mean, it is now. Oh, yeah. You heard, did you?
If you come in shouting at the top of your voice, people can't help hearing what you say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You've done nothing wrong, Miss Susato. Now what is it? Oh yeah, Shady, I knew it was a character creator tool.
Well, it seems that the prosecution in today's trial will be led by Lord Barack von Zeeks.
Von Zeeks? Gah! Oh no, no.
How is that?
The so-called Reaper of the Bailey, the most legendary prosecutor in the land. We have to go over this even though it happened 2 days ago, because for the viewers, it was an entire game ago.
How is this a surprise for them? It's 2 days ago. Of course he's probably still around.
Yeah, but players might not know who he is. In the trial 2 days ago, he pursued Seki-san and I relentlessly. To be fair, Ryunosuke has only faced him twice, though, and both times were supposedly the only cases he appeared in since he came back. So he could just be surprised, like, really? I'm going against him again? Of course, by the skin of our teeth, we managed to pull through, but still. Shady said nope, he quit. Shame of defeat was too much for him.
Perhaps Mr. Natsume's acquittal in the last trial wasn't the end of the matter after all.
Yes, I know what you're thinking. The legend of the Reaper that says, nothing can save a person in the dark when Lord Von Zeeks is the prosecutor. Oh, no!
That even if that person is found not guilty, the accused will meet a mysterious end one way or another.
And we've experienced it firsthand. Should we be talking about it in front of Natsume? A man we successfully defended met the most terrifying end at his acquittal, right here at the Old Bailey.
It's like it happened yesterday.
I mean, it happened like within the past week. Because all this is like back to back of the previous case, which was like back to back with the case before, so.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
This is all in like 1 week.
It's been
1 week since it took me to court.
Then you had to take me to court again.
Ugh, do I have to put up with those ice-cold eyes boring into my soul again? Cursed by evil spirits, and now by the Reaper. Pair of petrifying perils, potentially.
Well, if it's potentially, At least you appear to have hope, Miss Natsume.
Look up, student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Ah, yes? I'm innocent. You have to believe me. You more than anyone now. Don't worry.
I believe you!
I'll be your steadfast ally every step of the way in this battle. I promise. And this promises to be a hard battle, I fear.
This is like the first official case in the game.
For Naruhodo.
Yeah, but Ryotaro is like a tutorial. It doesn't count.
I think it counts. Hey there, cool name. You simp upon thy sham spear? And you didn't like Saseki at the start, but he grew on you? Yeah, same, more or less.
The trial is scheduled to begin shortly. We should move into the courtroom.
Let's go.
Oh, yes. I forgot to say. I'm afraid you won't be able to make it. Mr. Sholmes, I mean.
That's probably for the best.
Oh!
If he were here, I might be tempted to rely on his help. And that could be seen as weakness. If Lord Van Zieks were to notice, he'd prey on it mercilessly. Just like he preys on Gregson constantly.
Oh, that was the best part of the last case.
I mean, he's kind of was like that the case before Gregson, too. He just has it out for Gregson.
Shut up!
At least my gut feeling. That's my gut feeling.
Miss Naruhodo.
You're right. Yes, you're so right. I was just editing the last case into chunks, and it's all uploading to YouTube in the next week. And like, man, I loved the angst you gave Van Zieks when he's just like, when Gregson's just like, oh, can I be if it's all the same to you, can I be excused? It doesn't have like I have nothing else to add here. It's not all the same to me.
It's so funny. Oh, thank you.
Oh, well said, locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Well said. Wait, what did I say? Oh, I said you're right. Or no, he said you're right. I said he'd prey on a weakness. Okay, got it. A cool name said, Lord Van Zieks could prey on me all he wants. Shady Gregson is not fired right now. Did we see him in? Yeah, we saw him in this case so far.
Yeah, this happened in between cases of the first game.
Yeah, but by in between, pretty much after the second to last case.
But
months
and
before
then was the last case. Yeah.
The last case was like 2 months after, I think they said. So.
Yeah.
I swear at the sword at my side and on the spirit of Kazuma that it harbors. I'll show him what a Japanese lawyer can do. I'll set you free with honor.
Oh, yes.
I wonder if Naruhodo really believes that Kazuma's soul's like inside the sword and he's just carrying Kazuma around.
Listen, it's a Shaman King.
Well, I mean, he's already shown himself to be like very superstitious, so.
Very superstitious. Oh, look at that costume.
How do I? In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. And now call upon the counsels for the prosecution defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
Are they in that one?
It's been like a month since I've done this voice, at least.
Yeah, it's a package. It's the big purple package. Sorry about that. The prosecution is ready.
Every time I see the outfit, every stream I forget.
You forget that. It's like, whoa!
And then I'm just like, what the heck am I looking at? The defense is ready, my lord.
So precious. The readiness for the trial, my learned Nipponese friend, is not what the defense needs. What you need is readiness for your inevitable defeat.
I'm ready for that too. It's not just in my imagination, it's really there. Lord Van Zieks has such an animosity towards us Japanese for some reason.
It was some time ago now that he first became known as the Reaper of the Bailey, I believe. These past few years, he hasn't appeared in court at all.
Oh yeah, Shady, on his shoulder is a mouse.
Yeah, and I think it's supposed to be Ryotaro, which is bizarre, but...
Coolnim thinks it's Kazuma. But
I
we
would have
just
thought if it was Kazuma, I would have had the headband, the Hachimaki.
Kazuma's the sword.
Well, yeah, but Kazuma
He's
has the Hachimaki.
Kazuma's the sword boyfriend from Boyfriend Dungeon.
Yeah, and then...
I haven't played that yet, but it's on my wish list.
It's on my wish list, too.
I mean, I can't resist. That's just... Cool Name said his boyfriend died from a light push. It was quite a shock. Okay, you read this line, right?
Yeah.
Yet now he's back in the courtroom, though for some reason, only when I'm defending. Cool Name, Nipponese actually is a real word, though it's not. It's kind of archaic.
Yeah. Japanese people used to be called Nipponese because they called their country Nippon.
Cool Name said Boyfriend Dungeon is not on my wish list, actually. Better fix that. I mean, yeah, it sounds like it's down your alley.
They still actually, Japanese people still refer to themselves as, like, the country of Nippon.
Well, I know they still call themselves Nippon, but
Yeah.
I've never heard the term Nipponese before this game.
Yeah.
And then when I played this game, I had to look it up. I was like, is that a real term, or is he just trying to be offensive? No, that's a real term. Okay.
I think he's paying homage to the hit video game series Xenoblade Chronicles.
That game didn't have anything to do with Japan, though. It took place in, like, fantasy England.
Yeah, but it's Nippon, Nappon. Have you seen a Nipponese person and a Nipponese person in the same room?
I mean, they do look identical.
Oof, I rest my case.
Shigeru Miyamoto looks just like Riki.
It's so funny.
Like, if you showed me both and be like, management needs to know the differences are, like, it's the same picture.
Same picture. Reggie Fils-Aimé was known as Reg within the upper echelon.
Okay, well, we're getting sidetracked. This Reaper, with his curious disdain for us Japanese, is a prosecutor shrouded in mystery. Still, this isn't the time to be pondering that. I have to concentrate on Soseki-san's trial. Furthermore, I now call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Well,
You have been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to fulfill your duty?
let's see if I let's see if I recognize any of them.
Third time you get to voice them.
Absolutely. I've had a feeling that this lyric wasn't innocent before.
I love you. You even said something like in a previous stream that like you weren't going to see him again.
Listen, every time I think I'm not going to see him again, he just comes back.
I must say that I feel especially breathless on days when my hat refuses to sit up.
Sit right.
Oh, well, I rather like how you're wearing a hat. I think the ruthless look is very fetching, actually.
Is that ladies first?
No, that guy was in the...
Yeah,
that,
I always get him confused with
that
ladies
guy was
first.
in case 4. But, yeah.
I need to be somewhere at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that voice works, I guess.
I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that for her, I'd give something like very like authoritative.
I need to be somewhere at 10 o'clock. I have a very important meeting. Let's make this quick.
I couldn't agree more. I need to take home 5 bob tonight. The missus will go through the roof. God.
I love you, Potato Man.
I want to cry.
I love you, Potato Man.
Oh, may the Lord show us a light here and lead his flock to a righteous verdict.
Oh God, he's super religious. I wasn't expecting that out of my little potato.
God, my voice already. One line.
The British jury system is very different to our own, isn't it?
Cool name said make sure number 4 is on like a B.
It's quite extraordinary to think that the power of judgment is in the hands of 6 members of the public.
I disagree, Shady. I think he's the worst juror. Because I have to voice him.
The little potato boy, he's so funny. None of his things have anything to do with anything, but they're always the right option to pick. You always press him, and he's talking about, oh, I think I left my toilet seat open. And you're like, excuse me?
He's like, the toilet seat is actually where the crime took place.
It's like, oh!
And that the judge can only pass sentence when all jurors are in agreement about the defendant's guilt.
6 citizens of London chosen at random. Or at least that's the idea.
The prosecution would sorry. The prosecution would draw attention to the fact that the accused was on trial here but 2 days ago.
Yeah, cool name. He is the surgeon.
And the defendant would draw attention to the fact that he was innocent.
Also, I'm not sure if you remember Inheritance, but that case, the jury was identical aside from jury number 4, who was Mrs. Garrett.
Rotoscope guy.
No, it was Mrs. Garrett.
This one.
This is identical to Natsume's other trial jury.
But Mrs. Garrett is in jail now, so.
Accordingly, where possible, the same jurors have been asked to return for duty today.
Yep.
Oh.
Very well, let's commence the trial. Lord Van Zieks, your opening statement, please. I think that's like, I guess a conflict of interest, though. Like, if somebody's on trial for another crime, to intentionally call the same jury, that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, especially because there's just going to be a bias.
Yeah, they're not unbiased, which I think it's a conflict of interest then. They know who that defendant is.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is not the intent of the prosecution to cast doubt over your past decision.
Shady said if it worked like our courts, they'd have to wait 9 years before being seated on a jury again. And Cool Name said, does that mean that woman will be the killer of this case and she's in the killer seat?
I think so. If she's the manifestation of a gas leak.
However, the innocent verdict afforded to this eccentric Nipponese before has had dire consequences. Did the accused repent for his wrongdoings in that affair? Far from it. Instead, he used his freedom to perpetrate a most blood-curdling crime. Namely, that of the attempted murder of his neighboring lodger, an innocent Englishman.
Yeah, Cool Name?
To explain the circumstances of the crime, the prosecution called its first witnesses to the stand.
Yes, Shady, the court is part of the English government.
The detective responsible for investigating the scene and the accused himself.
Why are you having the accused testify right off the bat?
Witnesses, your names and occupations, please.
Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector, Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. Ah, Soseki-san Tsume from the Emperor of Japan. My government ordered me to come here as a student to study your language and culture. Mr. Natsume. Yes, my lord, sir. I'm quite sure I'm not mistaken, that you swore an oath never to set foot in my courtroom again. I remember it as it were yesterday.
The day before, in fact, my lord, but close enough.
Believe me, this is the last place I want to be.
Inspector, let's hear it from you first. Explain the case for the court.
Right you are, sir.
Bam, 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 bam.
The incident occurred at the Gardeb household where the defendant had lodgings. In the ground floor room of the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare. The defendant has already admitted to visiting the victim on the night in question. Mr. Shamspeare collapsed in his room as a result of poisoning by strychnine. He was found the following morning when the landlord, suspecting something was wrong, broke down the door. This means, I presume, that the door to the victim's room was locked at the time of the incident.
Correct, my lord. It was locked from the inside, making entry to or exit from the room impossible.
Oh, the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, lives to tell the tale. He very nearly didn't. The man was halfway to heaven when he found him first. I was the first officer on the scene, my lord. And I have a photographic print here. I took at the time to show how it looked. Yes, a chilling scene indeed. The man looks very much deceased. That's right, everyone present believe that's exactly what it is. Very well, I shall accept this photographic print as evidence for the court. Cool name. I don't think really the reason that they have the same characters is, like, because it costs too much to model more, like, and animate more. It doesn't cost that much. I think it was intentional.
Yeah, I think the running joke is that it's all supposed to be random, but they're always the same people.
I mean, not always the same, but so many people just reappear.
Yeah.
It's for comedic effect. Now then, Mr. Natsume. Yes! As the defendant, do you have anything to say at this juncture? They're haunted by evil spirits. Good gracious, what's haunted? My lodgings. There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. Cool Name said, reading the boyfriend dungeon reviews, there was a negative one saying, there's an abusive MFer and your cousin in the game, and you can date neither. The tenant before me died in mysterious circumstances, though a woman was stabbed by no one on the street outside. My neighbor was poisoned, and me, what about me? I've nearly been killed countless times. Killed, Mr. Natsume? How? Even on that fateful night it happened, when I returned from Mr. Shamspeare's room. I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out and somebody tried to kill me. You must always extinguish all fires before retiring for the night, Mr. Natsume. But it's so cold, my runny nose would freeze. The point is, I didn't poison my neighbor. Oh, why am I being accused of this? Why is my existence so cursed? Thank you, witness. I believe I have a reasonably clear picture of events.
If I could raise one more point, my lord. One more conclusive point.
Conclusive? Go on.
Fortunately, the victim, Mr. Shamspear, has regained consciousness after this ordeal. And he has named the true culprit.
Hmm.
The poison consumed by the victim was administered in a cup of tea that he drank on the night in question. Tea, my lord, that was brought to the victim's room by the accused.
The accused? Good grief. Order! Yes, that's the crux of this whole case. Order. If Seki-san is innocent, then why? Why has the victim accused him? Mr. Natsume, what have you to say to this accusation? That evening, yes, I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shamspear's room as a gift. The public water pump outside always freezes at night, so I bought bottled water especially to make it. They sold bottled water back then? And this is the result. Never will I touch tea again. Never. The public pump was frozen, you say?
That's not the information we've had before.
That will do, thank you. According to our laws, the defense must have the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses at least once. Therefore, I call upon these witnesses now for formal testimony. I presume the prosecution has no objection.
None whatsoever, my lord.
Good. Then you'll give your account to the events on the night in question to the court now. Yes, my lord. Catastrophic night. It was around 9 o'clock that evening when I visited my neighbor and took some tea with me as a gift. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot drink, after which I went back to my room at around 11. Ugh, my tea was completely harmless. He couldn't have locked the door behind me otherwise, could he? Strychnine takes some time to have an effect on the body. People will keel over immediately after taking it. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands. Yes, I see. It all seems relatively straightforward.
Excuse me, but that testimony does raise one rather crucial point, I think. Mr. Natsume claims this tea has been to have been harmless, presumably, though. The teacups have been examined for traces of the poison, haven't they?
Why didn't I think of that? Well, as it happens, no. I haven't been able to. Did I hear you correctly, Inspector? Scotland Yard has failed to examine the suspect's has failed to examine the suspect's substance. God, that's really hard to say. Especially in a voice. How could you have overlooked something so important? Isn't the first thing you should have done?
My learned Ebony's friend is falsely incensed. The inspector says Scotland Yard was unable to examine the tea, not that it was overlooked.
Unable? Why? It's simple enough. There is none left. Not a drop. Someone must have been very thirsty indeed.
With current scientific techniques, it's not possible to test for poison under such circumstances.
We only need a drop, but that one drop does actually have to exist, funnily enough.
The lack of examination notwithstanding. It appears nothing other than the tea passed the victim's lips on the night in question.
I see, thank you. The matter is clear.
Cast your eyes over the jury, my Lord Nipponese friend. I added
What?
Nipponese in, but it's okay. You can see in their faces, I'm sure, the recognition of the accused's guilt.
They look like they're a neutral pose.
Your client's fate is all but sealed.
I don't know. He looks like he really thinks that he's guilty.
I mean,
Look at that.
That's just the face of somebody who doesn't trust anybody.
He thinks we're all guilty.
In mere moments from now, you will lose and your compatriot will be damned for all eternity.
He's right. I can feel all six of the juries looking daggers at me. But I can't let them beat me down. I won't. Why do you have one glove on, Ryunosuke?
Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination.
Yes, my lord. Catastrophic night.
It was around...
Oh, at 6 of that, blah, 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 blah. Were you and your neighbours good friends then?
Ugh, no, we weren't friends. Not at all. Not at all. Never, ever.
A simple no would have sufficed. Then, why did you decide to pay him a visit? Kazuma has the other glove, cool name?
Mr. Shamspeare fancies himself as having great literary knowledge. As a fellow scholar of English literature, we find much to talk about together.
Come now, no Nipponese can understand the finer points of English literature.
And on the night in question, that was the topic of conversation as well, I presume?
It was the day of my last trial, when I was acquitted. I just arrived back at my lodgings, when I ran into Mr. Shamspeare outside on the street. That was at around 6 o'clock. We exchanged one or two pleasantries, but it soon turned into a heated discussion. He was on his way out at the time, though. So I promised to visit his room that evening at 9 to continue our debate. But did I have ill intentions? No, not one, not two, not any, not at all. Never, ever.
A simple no would have sufficed, I feel. Then tell the court what happened when you visited the victim's room.
Cool name said if they make a third game, Sasaki has to be the actual murderer. I mean, nobody would suspect it after all that. A literary debate about Shakespeare's works, I think you said, didn't you?
Shakespeare, a very worthy topic of conversation, I must say. Oh, yes, my lord. Romeo and Juliet, who was stronger? It was a profoundly pleasurable parley.
Romeo and Juliet. Who was stronger?
I know I'm going to regret asking this, but how did the debate go?
Well, we both agreed that we would reach a conclusion more quickly with a reenactment. So we paddled it out in a Greco-Roman style, naturally.
What?
Mr. Shamspeare had all sorts of costumes in his room for just such a contest.
So when you say reenactment, you mean you're actually in costume?
He as Romeo, I as Juliet, after a vigorous wild tussle. I as Juliet came on top, a victory I'll cherish forever.
Cool name was here.
Cool name is here.
I dare not imagine the terrible scene of carnage.
In fact, Cool name said I love this part. So.
The fact remains that it was you who prepared the tea and took it to the victim, correct?
Yes, cool name. He did wear a dress and beat the crap out of Shamspear.
I mean, the more important phrase is that he came out on top.
I didn't. You kind of had a pause after came out. It's like, I guess.
I boiled the water in my room and made a pot to take with me. I'd heard that he was too poor to have tea himself, you see.
A shady set of vigorous tussle came out on top. I see you, Sasaki.
It's true, there was no signs of any tea leaves in the man's room. I wanted to do something nice, to be friendly. So why is everyone looking at me with such suspicion? My tea was harmless, of course it was. Do you have any basis for that statement, witness?
I mean, probably cool name. It probably isn't legal at this time.
Yes, there was no drop of tea left in the victim's room anywhere, was there? That's correct. Anyone who would think the fellow had never had a pot of tea before, he must have licked it dry. Which is a pity, because one drop is all we would need to analyze it for poison.
And you said that you returned home to your room at 11 o'clock, Mr. Natsume.
Yes, definitely. By heaven and earth, I swear it.
The landlord has been able to verify that, as it happens. He confirmed that the defendant went back to his room at 11 that night.
And how was the landlord able to attest to this?
He, said it was lamps, I believe.
Lamps, Inspector.
When the tenants return to their rooms and start using gas, the lamps in other parts of the house flicker.
Yes, Mr. Gerda seems to pay a lot of attention to the comings and goings of its tenants.
There's only one key to Mr. Shamspear's room. I know that for certain.
Oh yeah, cool name. I mean, it was a more primitive time, I guess I could say.
So he must have locked the door himself from inside his room.
The victim had confirmed that to be the case, yes.
So I'm right, my tea was harmless, completely harmless. If you take poison, you die. Everyone knows that.
Not that simple, I'm afraid.
What do you mean?
God, all these voices today. How long does it take for symptoms to appear then?
According to Gora, I was speaking at the yard about 30 minutes after the poison is consumed. And then the victim suffers violent convulsions, cramped in stiffness, and eventually dies from asphyxiation.
So there's a 30-minute interval between when the poison ingested and the onset of symptoms. There seem to be a lot of different types of poison in the world, that's for sure.
Oh dear, death by poisoning again. It's always so awful.
30 minutes is a long time. Certainly long enough for the victim to have locked the door behind the accused after he left.
You can't deny that, and it further degrades Sasaki-san's alibi.
I have the medical report from the doctor who examined the victim here, my lord. It spells it out, really. The accused is the only person who could have done it. Very well. The court will add this report to the court record as evidence.
Medical report! Is that it?
Yes, I see here. A delayed onset of symptoms.
Great. Let's look at it. Yep.
Just a small amount of strychnine. Okay, high likelihood of such has been mixed.
Oh,
Poisoning occurred. No, it's fine.
okay. I thought
read it.
you were saying okay.
Poisoning incident occurred around 1:30 a.m. Assessed from the victim's pocket watch that appears to have broken when the man collapsed after delayed onset of symptoms. No container for the poison was found at the scene.
The victim was perfectly able to lock the door after his guests left. The argument still stands.
The argument still stands, you say?
This is what Mr. Natsume had been saying, isn't it? The pair of them drank tea together that night, so if there was poison in it, the victim would have been able to lock the door after the accused left later on.
Exactly. Ugh. Me and my tea are innocent. Sweet and innocent, I tell you.
I'm afraid, sir, that doesn't follow. You see, strychnine is a slow-acting poison. In other words, it takes time for symptoms to appear. So you could have left the room up to 30 minutes after the victim drank the tea. And as long as he did, that Mr. Shakespeare could have locked the door after he'd gone.
But no. We drank the tea straight away. The battle over whether Romeo or Juliet was stronger, that came after the tea.
Do you have any evidence to support that statement?
In my great homeland, the Empire of Japan, we have a saying. Drink tea while it's hot. Sure, a proverb will satisfy the prosecution.
I'm afraid there's no conclusive proof to support the defendant's assertion. On the contrary, there are sufficient grounds to infer his guilt in this matter.
No! That's the extent of the testimony, is it?
If I could voice a personal opinion, Mr. Naruhodo.
Of course, go ahead. Yeah, in ancient Greece, Shady, they did have no problems with homosexuality. I don't know. Ancient Greece was kind of advanced, though, in several ways, given its time period.
Mr. Natsume is arguing for his innocence so adamantly and so persistently. Yet Inspector Gregson just brushes what he sets aside. It's really quite infuriating.
I agree. So we need to find an inconsistency in what the inspector is saying, I think.
I'm afraid so. As things stand, the jurors are sure to find Mr. Natsume guilty.
As I see it, what we need to focus on is the poison in the tea. Let's listen carefully to this testimony again. Oh, you missed a yes, but okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
work your magic.
Let's look at the evidence.
This is evidence.
Okay. Next one. Next one. Next one. Okay.
We haven't really examined anything up close.
I mean, we can.
That's just that.
We already
That's,
did that
that's,
one. And
I mean, that was
last-
from the previous game.
Yeah.
That kind
That's
of is
from the
too.
previous game. Flip it around.
Oh,
What is it, Mr. Naruhodo?
this bar of soap. When we first found it, I could have sworn there was some sort of round disc in the depression just here, a reddish one.
Yes, you're right. I remember it too. But now the depression is completely empty.
Where could the disc have gone? Okay. Pair of teacups.
This is a teapot from Mr. Natsume was drinking.
Yes, and like the other one, the inside of the cup is completely clean.
I suppose he must have drunk the contents before the tea had a chance to leave a mark.
I always gulp it down too.
Sorry, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, if you just sip it little by little, it goes cold.
Clearly, I should have to instruct you in the proper way to take tea. Bum, 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 bum.
This must be the cup that Mr. Shamspear is drinking from then. It's stained on the inside.
Tea does that, I'm afraid. Even green tea.
Oh, really? I've never noticed before.
You've never noticed?
Well, I never leave it in the cup long enough to leave a mark. I like to gulp it down. Drink tea while it's hot. That's the Japanese way, isn't it?
Oh dear, so many people seem to have the wrong idea about our culture. And most of them are Japanese.
Okay. That's...
Oh, it's not the special limited edition Poltergeist cup? It's
Nope.
unfortunate.
Uh,
Bam, 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 bam.
whoever opened this envelope didn't bother with a letter opener or scissors, did they?
I'm really glad you pronunciated it correctly.
Yes, whoever opened it was clearly someone with an unrefined temperament.
In judging from the ankle of the rip here, the person in question must have been red-handed. What?
Oh. Okay, Susato.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Why would I think he'd say something that smart?
Judging from the angle of the rip here, the person in question must have been right-handed.
That's what I was going to say. Mr. Zato,
That's what I was going to say.
I think perhaps someone's been reading too much The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
You can never read too much of it, Mr. Naruhodo. Never!
Well, have a good night, Cool Name. Thank you for stopping by.
My cool name.
This is just picture. You can see stuff big. Like his big
magnifying
butt.
glass. Look at his big butt. Look at his big
The heck is-
fluff. So that's like a cork. It's like a button.
It looks like there's something stuck in his neck. I don't think that's anything, but
And you can't even check. This magnifying glass is still pointless. We already did this.
okay, yes. So here's
Okay,
all the
cool.
evidence.
I think I got it. Let's go. Okay, that's not that one. That's not that one. Okay, that's not that one.
Oops.
Okay.
I didn't! I shifted! I didn't even touch the button!
How long does it take? Oh dear.
30 minutes is a long time.
Oh, you picked one of the longest ones too.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's this one.
You do?
No.
You don't?
My tea was completely harmless. Victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guests left. The argument still stands. Let's go back.
Back?
No. Go back. Okay. Go back. Okay. So my thing is it has to be something Gregson said. So it's either the one that he's like, people just don't keel over, and he should have been able to lock the door. Like, it's either that one, or I think the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those. Am I on the right track?
Do you want an answer?
Yeah, if I'm on the right track.
Yes and no.
No.
There's two statements that could be done, and one of them is one of the ones you're looking at, and one of them is one of the ones you're not looking at. So.
Oh, fair enough. Go back. Go back. It's that one or the next one. Go forward. So it's that one.
Okay, before we present anything, we haven't saved at all yet
Oh.
today.
Oh no. I can feel the trust emanating from you, Shad.
Okay, so
It's that one.
what about this one?
Let's present.
Present what?
I gotta see what my options are. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Oops.
Keep going. Oh, I got it now. Go,
What?
go back out. I know I have actually a good logic. Go back to him, yeah. And present the teacups.
Right here?
Yes. Nope.
The last statement is contradictory in a number of ways, I think you'll find.
I thought I was right.
A number of ways, you say? That's right, my lord. In a number of ways. Perhaps it would serve you well to concentrate your efforts on one contradiction at a time, Counselor.
Fair enough. That's actually probably what happened.
Ugh, made a bit of a mess of that. In a number of ways, actually.
I'm trying to plug in multiple holes at the same time. My logic was that the tea had to be harmless because Soseki drank from it as well. That was my logic. Is that not sound?
I wouldn't consider it sound because it could have been put in the cup. Like, not in the pot.
Okay. So let's...
Yeah, Shady.
Can you present the envelope on that part?
Right here?
Yeah, I'm grasping, but maybe he's just like really uncoordinated and... No, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense.
I feel like at this point you're overthinking it.
Right? I definitely am. This is the second case in the game, and I'm.
This is
trying to be
the
big
first
about it.
the first cross-examination of this case too.
Yeah.
The first choice you have to make.
Okay, so the victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands. Can you present the picture? No. I was gonna say, can you present the picture to be he already was knocked out? But that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't support the argument at all. Huh.
Do you want a hint?
Yeah.
We got a piece of evidence when we were pressing.
Yeah, we got the documentation. Okay. Let me read the documentation again. Okay. Uh-huh. Huh. Okay. Go back. William Shakespeare's 31? He's over the hill.
Ouch!
I actually just turned 31 last week.
Oh yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you. I don't... Go back. Go back. Like, out.
Shady said happy late birthday.
Oh, thank you. I'm an old man. I had fondue.
Ooh.
I had fondue
Fond of you too.
Oh, thank you. I had fondue for dinner and for dessert. My birthday treat was chocolate fondue.
For dinner too?
I had cheese fondue for dinner and chocolate fondue for dessert.
Did you guys like make it at home or?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I like to do that. Remember when we went to the Zelda thing? I had buns for my meal, and I had appetizer bun, dinner bun, and dessert bun.
Yeah.
Okay, go to the other one. The other statement. That one, and present the documentation.
The medical report?
Yeah. No.
My lord, there are clearly grounds for being suspicious of the last statement.
I'm sorry, Counsel, but I fail to see why.
Well, you know, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
What? Doesn't even make sense.
You do appear to have something of the devil in you, Mr. Nahoda.
Says the man merely dishing out penalties.
Rough. So it's the last statement, and it's the medical report. I don't know how they're tied together. I think I'm just too big brain right now. It's gonna take me some time to ease back down. Okay,
It's
documentation
okay. By the
now.
time you ease back down, then you'll have to be big brain again, and
I know my brain's already twitching.
the argument still stands. You say? I think not, Inspector. Could have also been the
don't-
second statement. So,
What was the second statement?
what was the second statement? It was the one about the literary debate after a hot drink, and then went back to his room about 11.
The clock, the time. But I already see. I am too big brain. You know why? I already think that time the clock is a red herring, and his watch has been broken, because that's like a very Shakespearean thing, isn't it? Macbeth that has like a broken
I haven't
clock.
seen Macbeth. I
Or
don't want to.
Hamlet.
I don't want to get cursed.
Fair enough, but the British play, the Scottish play actually, the British,
The Welsh play. Let's just
The
keep
Welsh
changing
play.
it.
the Irish play. But I think there's one of them. I think it's Macbeth, where the character breaks his clock at the time that he learned that his dad dies, so he knows to get revenge. I don't know, but I think that's, long story short, I'm too big brain. And
Okay,
that's
so
why
you
I
think
didn't get
Mr. Shakespeare's dad died? Got it.
Come again?
I think Mr. Shakespeare's dad died.
I think you'll find that you've overlooked a very significant chronological inconsistency here. Shady said it was a Jamaican play.
At the Jamaican play. Oh, that's
Oh, Chrono, what? What are you on about?
to be or not to be. That is the question.
No, you need to do it in reggae.
Oh no, I don't think I have the chops to sing in reggae. It's like timber.
According to this report, the victim must have consumed the poison at around 1:30 in the morning. And yet, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, left the victim's room at 11.
Ah!
Yes, that's right. There's more than 2 hours of missing time there. In other words, if there was poison in the tea that Mr. Natsume brought to the victim's room, how could the victim have fallen ill to it 2.5 full hours after the defendant left?
Wah!
Why is so
How-
sucky?
And would it mean 2.5 full hours? That's not full hours.
2 hours and 45 full hours.
2 full hours and half of one.
2 and 1/37th full hour.
I just want to start speaking like I'll be there in 2 full hours and 1/2 of one.
I mean, we should just bring back Fortnite.
Oh no, I hate Fortnite.
Not like Fortnite, but the time. 14 days. 15 days. Isn't it a Fortnite 15 days?
I thought
'Cause it's
Fortnite was 14.
nights. It's 14 nights, but 15 days.
I don't know, I don't play it.
No!
I assume that's where the term came from.
The term definitely came from the game. I apologize to all my hardcore elite gamers out there.
The defender's argument is entirely reasonable. How do you respond, Lord Van Zeeks?
Hollow Chalice.
Smell the wine.
Pray forgive the discourtesy if my mind has wandered. I was considering what cuisine would best complement the contents of my hallowed chalice this luncheon. How could it have happened, you ask? I do hate to shatter illusions, but my Nepalese friend appears to be chasing a phantom idea.
A phantom?
You'll never see you coming.
Is it so hard to imagine that the victim drank his tea after the accused left? For example, as the Times stated in the medical report.
Mr. Natsume brought the tea with him to drink together with his neighbor. And in Japan, there's a well-known saying, drink tea while it's hot.
Hot.
And in my country, there's an even more apt saying, drink the tea when it's cold! There's nothing more refreshing than cold tea.
In the middle of winter.
The point is, if there was such a long gap, there may have been other ways to explain how the victim came to be poisoned, other possibilities.
What sort of possibilities, Counselor?
Well, for example, the man could have had another visitor.
Another visitor? That's a very bold assertion, my learned friend, from someone who has nothing to substantiate.
Or the victim could have taken the poison of his own volition.
Like,
You suggest it may have been a suicide, Counselor.
Mr. Shamsir have categorically denied suicide.
I mean, if it's illegal, then he would deny it.
The idea canon must be discounted.
But he could be lying.
what do you say? Ellipses?
Yeah, just ellipses.
Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses.
Something wrong, Lord Matix.
I was listening to the sound of the carriage police at the courtroom. Pray forgive the discourtesy.
Carriage? What carriage?
It would seem that the key player in this case has just arrived.
Hold it!
Oh. It's Edgar Benedict.
Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow.
Oh.
A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.